Brett, we are taking part in a wonderful event together, Rescue the Republic. I'm very, very excited to be participating in it. Now, talk me through this boat image. Brett, what were you thinking?
What were we thinking? Well, we were thinking that, frankly, this is a 1776 kind of moment. And of course, this is a very different era. This is obviously a use of the free speech rights that were so hard won by our founding fathers in order to rescue the republic from the tyranny that many of us believe is clearly descending upon it.
Yes, I'm pretty excited to be participating in your event, Brett. I've seen you doing a round of promotion. It seems to me that you are genuinely in a place of some considerable consternation about the state of the United States of America. Tell me, Brett, what do you believe is the significance of this event? Can it be a unifying event, or does it ultimately become a kind of pro-Trump rally?
Oh, no, it is not a pro-Trump rally, although that may be one of the upshots of the rally. And it absolutely can be a galvanizing moment, but that's really down to the audience and whether they understand it correctly. And I will tell you, you said you've seen me doing a round of promotion. You know me well enough to know that I actually detest self-promotion. I really dislike it. And the fact that I'm doing this will give you some sense for how urgently I believe we have to make a big showing at this event so that we can correct the phony narrative that will be deployed in order to whitewash what's going on behind the scenes. So yes, this is.
Brett, don't get all exhausted and forlorn about it, because I know that you're taking on a lot of personal pressure. I can really feel that. What is, given that I'm participating in this, currently I'm an anonymous rifleman next to the Spirit of Liberty, very near the front of the boat, which I'm happy with. I'm happy with the ergonomics. I'm happy with the feng shui of my place on the Delaware dinghy. But what I'd like to ask is, what is the perfect outcome for you for this event so that I can do my level best to be of service to you?
Well, let me address a couple things. One, you say rifleman because the image that we have borrowed would have had riflemen. There are no weapons in this image for a reason. We deliberately chose to exclude them, though it would have been perfectly reasonable in an artistic sense to include them, because this is decidedly an anti-war, anti-violence rally. That has to be perfectly clear. But what we're hoping for is that this will not be an event in the same way that Woodstock was not a music festival. Woodstock was a defining moment for a generation, and we look at this as the bookend, closing out the chapter that was opened by Woodstock and opening the next chapter in which we will repair the damage that has been done to the Republic and to the West. So having you on board is fantastic. I think you are second to none when it comes to articulating difficult, nuanced points, and we're just thrilled to have you.
I'm honored that you would say that to me. Thank you, Brett. In the wake of the first and likely only Trump-Kamala debate, we, I suppose, get a further sense of the entrenched fissures that define our culture now. I imagine that in pro-left-wing spaces, and let's face it, we know now that the Democratic Party pay their influencers by the post, this will be declared as a Kamala victory, simply because she didn't fall asleep or put on a MAGA hat halfway through the debate. But in spaces beyond that, it's regarded as the 3 against 1 pylon, where the moderators created the conditions. In a sense, it's like a piece of media analysis. It would be wonderful if anyone had the time these days, in the way that we once did, to scrutinize a media artifact and to look at how apparent objectivity can be so elegantly skewed. Trump being fact checked, Kamala not being fact-checked on her claim that there are no American service personnel anywhere in the world, or fact-checked on her claim that Putin would invade Poland, a rather evocative claim given the history of invasions on that nation in particular. What do you see then that your rally, or if I may venture, our rally, and I say that as an Englishman who believes very much in your country, do you see it as opposition to centralist forces that go way beyond the Democratic Party and include the institutions that simply use that party as a vassal now for a party that is truly globalist, militarist, and feudalist?
Yes, and decidedly unpatriotic, arguably anti-patriotic. So yes, with respect to the debate, I will just say, in the same way that one can admire the design of a mosquito, one can admire the stagecraft that went into this debate, which indeed did change the way people will view Kamala Harris. It does not change anything about the stakes in this election, and it does not change anything about the track record of the Democratic Party with respect to dismantling the structures that undergird our constitutional republic. And the fact that Dick Cheney has now endorsed Kamala Harris is really nature's way of telling us what this party is. It's a very strange moment.
Nature's way. Dick Cheney is nature's way of telling you. A Dick Cheney endorsement is probably a sign that you're heading in the wrong direction. I've always liked Dick Cheney, whether it was Halliburton or the advent of ISIS or the way he shoots people when he's hunting or his snarling Darth Vader style bedtime stories. Yeah, it wasn't an impressive piece of stagecraft, Brett. It really was. And by, I suppose then, pure spectacle, something by the definition you just offered us, it changed nothing, it offered us no insight, but it had the function of further nullifying inquiry or opposition, or moving people away from the snug atrophying comfort that this form of bizarre liberalism that cares not for freedom is somehow the only route in your language, to avoid what still is regarded as the despotism of a second Trump presidency. We can't continue to bring you this awakening and hopefully enjoyable content without the support of our partners. That's why I've got to ask you, and I'm glad to ask you, are you struggling with back taxes or unfiled returns? The IRS is escalating collections, adding, get this, 20,000 new agents and sending over 5 million collection letters to kick off 2024 to spend on things that you probably don't agree with, like wars and measures and a total lack of infrastructure. In these challenging times, your best defense is Tax Network USA. Don't let the IRS take advantage of you. With over 14 years of experience, Tax Network USA have saved their clients over $1 billion in back taxes. No matter the size of your tax issue, their expertise is your advantage. They specialize in negotiating with the IRS, aiming to significantly reduce your debt. Tax Network USA doesn't just negotiate, they also protect your assets from IRS seizures and manage your yearly returns for ongoing compliance. Importantly, they are licensed to help you with all state tax issues, regardless of where you live in the United States. The clock is ticking. Don't wait as the IRS steps up its game. Seize control of your financial future now. Contact Tax Network USA for immediate relief and expert guidance. Visit taxnetworkusa.com/brand. Don't let tax issues overpower you. Turn to Tax Network USA and find your path to financial peace of mind. Right, let's get back to this content. How do you regard the addition to the Trump campaign of Bobby Kennedy and Tulsi Gabbard? How does that change the inflection? And of course, I'll take this opportunity to mention that, of course, both of those people will be speaking at your event on the 29th of September in Washington, D.C.
Well, it's not even that it changes the Trump campaign. It radically reorganizes the entire chessboard, because what this now is a true unity movement. It's traveling under a different flag, a new flag, and this event in Washington is really the first gathering of that movement, which is required to rescue the Republic and, we believe, save the West. Now, you said something about the debate that I want to push back on slightly. You said that it had no value, but I think, in fact, it has one very significant value, and that is it tells us that we underestimate our opponents at our peril. These people are very good at what they do, and what they are trying to do in this election is win power so they can use it for all of the things that we can see that they intend, none of which are to the benefit of the American public or the world. So we have to oppose them. And the key thing is in recognizing that something surprising like this debate can occur. People who are tempted to sit back and watch what unfolds would be wise to recognize that they are being targeted. Their freedoms are under attack. You are seeing this in the UK. We are seeing it in the US. It's being seen in France. It's being seen across the Western world. So if you are intent on keeping those freedoms, as you should be, the question is, what can I do to increase the chances that this election goes towards the people who want to secure them? And the answer is, if you can't come to the event, lots of people are coming to the event. If you can come to the event. It's free, and we have an incredible lineup. So you get to see all these people, including you, for free. But if you can't come to the event, you could donate to the event. There's a tab on our website. Our website is jointheresistance.org. And if you can't donate or come to the event, maybe the most important thing you can do is spread the word. And again, you see me engaging in acts of promotion that are antithetical to my being, because I believe this is a make or break election for us, that we have to win it, and we have to win it decisively enough that no level of cheating is going to overwhelm the public will. If you agree with me, figure out how to participate and put your effort in. It's a sprint from here. We're close to the election, and we can't afford to lose.
Can you be specific about the freedoms? In particular, you said that they are global freedoms. I assume you're speaking to some degree, of course, about free speech. But can you just tell me, what are the clear markers of the significance of this election? What is it we're fighting for specifically? And please explain to us how you know for a fact that this is not, because like if you came out of that debate as a Democrat voter, someone who still believes that it's great that a woman like AOC can become a waitress, that it's important that women's reproductive health rights are respected, that Trump is, as they would say, liable for a sex act, that the MAGA movement is racist. What can you say? What are the freedoms that you are advocating for, and what is the evidence that this concern is real, Brett?
Well, I would advise people to go to the website and take a look at what we have as the 8 pillars. These are things that we believe any reasonable American patriot, anyone who believes in the West.
Let's go to it now. Let's go to the website. Pull it up. Let's get it up.
All right. The first one is that war is always the last resort. This is not a pacifist movement, but it is a recognition that war is only something that can be contemplated when you have exhausted all of the reasonable alternatives. And this is something that has obviously been lost. We now have a military-industrial complex that is pushing us towards war in multiple corners of the world for reasons that are never explained to us. So that has to end. Obviously, the well-being of the citizens of the West is being squandered on battlefields for someone else's gain. The second is informed consent. Anybody who was paying attention during COVID and recognizes the many egregious breaches of informed consent, anyone who knows their history and realizes that informed consent is such a profoundly important concept that at the end of World War II, the Allies literally hanged 7 doctors for violating patients' right to informed consent, even though informed consent had not yet been codified, right? We have now seen the utter destruction of informed consent with the mandated use of experimental technologies where the evidence about the harms they did was hidden from patients. So that's our second pillar. The third one is about media control of information, surveillance, and propaganda. Essentially, the censorship industrial complex that you and I have become so familiar with. This has to be ended. We need an open, free exchange of ideas in civilization, whether that's called free speech or not. That's the basic concept. And I believe that the difference between what you are experiencing in the UK and what we are experiencing in the US comes down really to two factors. One, the US has the clearest protection for speech rights. It's number one in our Constitution. Founders did that for a reason. And the other one is, frankly, X. Elon Musk, in purchasing X, has given us a platform in which I hesitate to say speech is free because I don't think it is yet, but it is, by comparison, vastly freer than any other place that we have access to. So those two things are the bulwark that stands between us and silence is the only thing that those engaging in tyranny need in order to complete their plan. So we have to defend these rights, and this election is a place where they are at stake. Kamala Harris has made it very clear that she believes in restricting these rights over the false claims of mis, dis, and mal information. The third pillar is about rational border policy. Isn't it strange that we have the exact same crisis in Europe, in Britain, in the US from different sources? It's almost as if somebody has coordinated a stand down of the safeguards at the border that would ordinarily limit immigration to people who actually wanted to participate in our societies. It's a very strange failure, and it is, in my opinion, no accident that it is failing across the West simultaneously. The fourth of the pillars is about lawfare. In the U.S., we have seen egregious abuses of the courts, including going after a presidential candidate from one of the major parties. We've seen the abuse of it in many different jurisdictions, and it has to stop. One of the central tenets that the founders laid out was equal protection under the law. And that means that the law, whatever it is, has to be applied without reference to who you are. And that is clearly not taking place. The fifth is about monetary freedom. We have all recognized that there is a danger in the plan that has been announced to put a centralized bank digital currency into force, and that is really a backdoor to a Chinese-style social credit system. I think I'm on the sixth one, is family sovereignty. Clearly, we can't have a situation where the government is taking children away from parents because the government thinks the child is born into the wrong body and wants to inflict some kind of capacity-destroying surgery or pharmaceuticals on the child. These are obviously family issues, so family sanctity is very important to us. I may have missed one.
No, you're right. You've done them. You're on to truth seeking, Brett. You're doing well with your pillars.
Well, thank you. And truth seeking, this is really about the academic industrial complex. And anybody who's been paying attention knows that the academy has lost the capability of seeking truth and describing what it has found to the public. Where is the university that stood up and said, wait a minute, the mRNA COVID shots are not safe? Where's the university where the biology department announced, like it or not, there are only two sexes? These places don't exist. And they don't exist because things that are known to be true are unspeakable. There is a higher agenda item within the academy, and frankly, that means it isn't an academy. It's some kind of academic theater. So anyway, we're intent on restoring that as well.
Well done, Brett. That was very good, although there was some abuse in the chat. Kenzie67 said, 8 is too many pillars. And Shampil said, I got here late. Whose pillars are these? What's going on? On the day, Brett, of the rally, which is the 29th of October, all of you can come for free. This is a literal rallying cry. Join us in Washington, D.C. Join Bobby Kennedy, Tulsi Gabbard, Matt Taibbi, Brett Weinstein, and myself for this important and fantastic event. And on that day, Brett, I'm going to do the 8 pillars because you take too long. You're like this. First pillar is, firstly, we can't allow war. It's a terrible thing. By the end of it, I was like, I don't mind wars. Now, so I'm going to zip through them pillars like lightning. People will be right on board with it. It's going to be brilliant, this, Brett. Well done. Thank you so much. I'm honoured that you have included me in this event. I'm so pleased and excited and grateful that you are taking on this extraordinary project. I know you act in total good faith and that you're doing your best, and I believe that this will make a significant impact. That is my belief, that is my prayer, and that will be how I will participate, and I'll do whatever you need me to do to make it a success.
Russell, I'm really looking forward to seeing you in Washington, and for your listeners, I would just say, rescuing the Republic to save the West, that's how we stay free.
That is how we stay free. Brilliant. We're going to use that as a sting. Brett, thank you so much for joining us. I'm looking forward to seeing you on the 29th. Let me pull up a poster once more. I think I'll pull up that one where I'm sat on the boat. I do enjoy looking at that. I like to imagine how that boat journey would go. Elon Musk, Bobby Kennedy, Donald Trump, that sweet lady Liberty, Tulsi Gabbard. I saw one version where Tulsi Gabbard was in a hat, and I felt that was a mistake. Matt Taibbi in a hat, that's a good idea. Do join us for Rescue the Republic. Join the resistance. Come to Washington, D.C. on the 29th of September. And for our Awakened Wonders community, we are going to hold a special meet and greet event. All you have to do is email us if you are an Awakened Wonder at tickets@RussellBrand. Guarantee that you will be there, and I will ensure personally, using the power given to me by our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, that we meet one another on that great day. So become an Awakened Wonder and you'll meet me on that day if it's something that is of value to you and if you choose to. Brett, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Russell.
Have some rest, and do remember to take your latest booster shot, because COVID is a very dangerous disease indeed. Just want to end on that. Listen, you know that we are partners with Rumble, and Rumble have gotten into the coffee game. Now, if you knew that your coffee had been tainted with pesticides and chemicals, sitting in bags for months, sitting in an old ball bag for months, probably with traces of mold, would you drink it? The answer is, of course you wouldn't. Even Jill Biden wouldn't drink a bag so contaminated. Most of the coffee we consume is stale, flavorless, and full of harmful substances that have a negative effect on our health. Rumble's 1775 coffee, on the other hand, is free from harmful substances and chemicals, whilst it's also rich in flavor. The beans are sourced from high-altitude farms in Bolivia, roasted weekly in Miami, and delivered fresh to your doorstep. As believers in freedom, buying 1775 coffee helps fight back against other coffee makers that don't even care about you none. Join the coffee revolution and brew rebellion with Rumble's 1775 coffee. It's dark, it's delicious, but there are a variety of blends available. All you got to do is go to 1775coffee.com/brand. Use the code BRAND right now to get your 15% off. You can click that. There's stuff available whether you're in the Wake and Wonder chat or in the Rumble chat. It's pretty bloody good coffee. I'll tell you that right now. And I say that as an Englishman for whom the date 1775 is a very painful thing to reflect on. Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see more uncensored content where free speech can flourish, join our live stream. Click the link right here to watch the next video if you want to, or become a member of a growing movement. Download the Rumble app and you'll be informed every time we make a new piece of content. Stay free.